What's going on, guys? Welcome into the Point After with Mitch Kaiser. I'm your host, Mitch Kaiser. Happy Monday. It is officially week 0 for the college football season, which means we are going to do our first mock draft of the season. It is Mock Draft Monday today, so kicking off with got the PFF Mocks Draft Simulator up on your screen there for you. So we're going to go through a first-round mock today, just kind of kick off this college football season. This will kind of just be a Mitch mock, like kind of what my thoughts are, my takes, and not really a predictive mock yet. We're so far away from that we don't need to do like prediction mocks where we think this player is going to end up on this team because of the agent rumors or whatever. This is just who I think is going to be the best players at the end of the college football season. This is kind of my opinions and where I would rank these players as draft prospects. We've got the PFF draft big board here. I don't know who's in charge of this anymore. It's not Trevor Sigma. It's not me. Trevor used to run it with Dalton and Max, and so I don't know who's making these rankings anymore now, but I'm going to input my own opinions a little bit and kind of just run through it. Keep this short and sweet today. Got a big week. Excited for you. Excited to get into it with you guys. We are going to get it. This week is starting my official podcast weekly programming for the rest of the season. So for the fall calendar with football and basketball season coming up, it'll be Monday mock draft / mailbag Monday, which I'll get a mailbag email address you guys can mail some questions into. That would be fun. And then we'll alternate a basketball and football mock draft as we get into more deeper into the NBA season and whatnot. Wednesday is going to be Hump Day Hoops. So told you guys we're going to be doing all my solo basketball shows on Wednesdays. So be a lot of solo NBA episodes. This Wednesday, I'm not sure what we're going to talk about yet. I'm kind of still strategizing that. Might do some player rankings for basic NBA player rankings. And then Friday, I'm going to bring on Max Chadwick this week from Preferred Walk On. Him and I are going to go through our college football playoff brackets and give you our full playoff predictions for this college football season. Cannot wait to get into that with Max. I have still not decided on my natty pick yet, who I got winning the natty. I've got my bracket down to the quarterfinals, and I'm still reviewing some tape, still looking at some numbers, still looking at some data, making some making some projections and some educated guesses and some picks. So yeah, we'll can't wait for that on Friday. But today we're gonna start with a mock draft. This is a preseason first round mock for NFL and college football. And again, this is just my personal opinions of these players. This is not like prediction, not trying to get anything right yet. We're so far away from spring. So let's not waste any time. Starting at pick number 1. Now, we're going to go off the order that PFF has here. This is not going to be the draft order in May. We know that, or in April. We know that. I also don't think the Cardinals are maybe going to take a quarterback. And I'm not just saying that based on one half of preseason of what we saw from Carson Beck, but you guys know what my opinions were of Carson Beck in the pre-draft process. I thought very highly of him as a prospect and think he could be the guy there for the foreseeable future in Atlanta or in Arizona. But either way, for the sake of this mock draft and the order that is given to us by PFF here, as you can see, I don't have a PFF subscription because I'm too cheap and broke to pay for it. I got laid off from the company, so I'm not going to give them any money right now because I would just feel wrong doing that. But if anyone has a subscription they want to lend me and let me borrow, at least it allows me to do one unlocked mock draft, so one round. So at least PFF offers you to do one free first-round mock. So without further ado, let's get into it. Arizona Cardinals, you are on the clock, and if you do have the first pick, it is likely that you probably had a pretty bad season where you maybe won 1 or 2 games and might be drafting a quarterback. In this iteration, it probably means Carson Beck did not perform well enough to earn another year as the starter. You guys know my top quarterback here is, so my college top quarterback is Julian Sam. We did an episode of that a few weeks ago. But you guys know who my draft top quarterback is, my draft eligible top quarterback. That is Sam Leavitt. I know he's down here at 52. He's, what is that, QB6, QB7 in this? Sam Leavitt, I think, should be the number 1 pick, and I think he will be the number 1 pick when it's all said and done next year. I am banking on his abilities and his tools and his physical capabilities. I am betting on the competitor that Sam Leavitt is and the physical traits that he possesses. They are second to none at the quarterback position. He is the number one most physically gifted quarterback in the country, bar none. No one has the arm talent he has with the combined rushing ability that he has. He is the best dual threat quarterback in America. I am projecting he is going to put up an incredible season in Lane Kiffin's offense, putting up absurd numbers with the weapons they have at LSU. Lane has always gotten his quarterbacks to put up astronomical numbers, and I think Sam Leavitt is by far the most talented QB he's ever had play for him, truly. That's why I'm betting on his tools, his leadership, his overall physical traits, and the competitor that Leavitt is. This guy's 16-4 in his career as a starter, 6-1 in ranked matchups. Yes, 6-1 versus ranked opponents when all these other QBs have a losing record in ranked opponents or in ranked matchups. That means something to me. A guy who shows up in big games, a guy who plays his best against the best competition. We've all seen what he does on the biggest stage, and I think Leavitt's going to do it this year, and he's going to showcase those abilities, lead the Tigers to the playoffs, and end up being the number one draft pick because of the season he's about to have in Baton Rouge. All right, number 2, Miami Dolphins. I am going with quarterback Julian Sayin from Ohio State here. I know there are a lot of draft scouts lower on him as a prospect in the NFL. I don't understand it at all, man. I think he has enough tools that check the box and as like the minimum threshold you need. Like, the guy's 6'1". He's put on some more weight this year. He's listed at 215 now. I think he's even more than that. I don't get the size concerns. I don't get the hate for Julian Sayin at all. I truly think he is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football history. He finished third in history in completion percentage last season at 77%. His adjusted rate was like 85%, just otherworldly numbers, absolute video game numbers. I know he had Jeremiah Smith and Carnell take the throw to. That's not his fault. Do you want him to not hit the open receivers that Ohio State has? Do you want him to miss the throws instead? I just think the season he put out last year and that pinpoint accuracy, the throwing mechanics he holds, and the high-level IQ processor that he is, to me, I think he's absolutely an NFL quarterback and going to be a pretty damn good one too. I'm not worried about his size concerns or his arm strength concerns at all. I think his arm is plenty strong enough. I think he has a plenty good enough arm to compete in the NFL. It would not be the weakest arm of all 32 starters, that's for damn sure. So I don't really get it with Sayin. I feel like a lot of people are falling off him when I know we're coming off like recency bias of he lost the last 2 games he started, but when you look back and think that it was Miami Hurricanes and Indiana Hoosiers who both finished in the national championship game, the champion and runner-up last season, I just think that speaks volumes to Sayin's consistency, his abilities, his leadership. I've heard he's gotten more vocal this season in the locker room, which speaks volumes to his character, and coming off a season where I think Buckeye fans were pretty disappointed in him in the last game of the season. So I think he's got a lot to show, but I believe this kid has it. I believe this kid is special. I know he has Jeremiah Smith again. He has one of the best offensive lines coming back to protect him this season. If you give Sayin time, he will pick you apart and shred you from the pocket with his accuracy, the touch he puts on his football. I think Sayin's nails. I don't get it with him. I understand if you're a little more concerned about his like projection and his overall ceiling in the NFL. I will have a conversation on that, like maybe how good he can be at the next level with the tools he has, but he's the best quarterback in college, in my opinion, not close right now. And the high-level processor that he is, I just think it's going to translate to the NFL very successfully when a lot of people don't think that. So we'll see. All right, pick number 3. I had to do this one. This one's kind of funny to me because Dante Moore declined going to the Jets at number 2 last year. He turned down the draft because he knew he was going to the Jets at number 2, and now he still goes to the Jets at number 3 just to pick lower this year. This is kind of why I thought Moore should have came out. I didn't really know what else he could do and prove, and and showcase in college, I genuinely think it's about winning a national championship. And I think that's what he's going for at Oregon. I think they have the horses to do it. They got the talent to do it. Dan Lanning, they got the coach who can do it. It might be on more shoulders in the big game now, because the only games he lost last year were 2 times to Indiana, the national champions. So, and he wasn't great in those games, especially in the final one, the playoffs, threw a bad pick 6 to start the game. He's got a couple things he needs to clean up, but the consistency is there, the poise is there, the leadership, everything you hear about Dante Moore is positive reviews. Like, he's an incredible person, incredible leader, incredible thrower of the football. Think about some of the back shoulder throws he's put, like some of the big throws he's had in crucial moments in the Penn State game to win that in double overtimes on the road. The calmness this guy possesses, I feel like you can trust him. You can feel safe with him under center. He's not going to blow the game, but he also might not have the physical tools that like Sam Levitt or Arch Manning have, which we'll get to Arch here in a minute, but I think he has one of the highest floors at the next level. I don't think there's a world where Dante Moore is like a bad NFL QB. I've copped him to CJ Stroud last year. I would keep that going. Precision touch he puts on the football is top tier. 72 completion percentage, 3,500 passing yards. I'm expecting another big season out of him with an even better receiving core. So, but yeah, that's kind of what it was last year. It was the same story with Dante Moore last season. So I guess I just don't know if he can improve his draft stock from where it was at pick number 2. He technically would get paid less going to pick number 3 and still end up on the Jets. So we'll see. Maybe Dante Moore lights it up and they do win it all, and then he goes number 1. But I would probably have him 3rd right now. I have him 3rd in my college QB rankings, and I also have him 3rd in my NFL QB draft rankings. So, all right, pick 4. This is the easiest pick so far, really, because the Raiders don't need a quarterback. They do need a receiver, though. That is Jeremiah Smith. I wouldn't be shocked if this guy goes above number 4 next season, depending on how the draft board shakes out. Like, if the Raiders get, like, pick 2 or 3, they're sprinting in the card for Smith. Kid is that good. Kid is that talented. Called him Julio Jones 2.0. There's nothing he can't do at the receiver position. I've said it last show. I've never seen a wide receiver come into college and dominate from day one like he did. And it's just, you know, he's got another year. Like, he's already been one of the best Buckeye receivers in program history, and he has a full another season. He would have been the number 1 pick last year after his true freshman season. Like, he could have gone first overall to the Titans that year. Like, I firmly believe they could have taken him if he was draft eligible. That's what's crazy about Jeremiah Smith. That's how talented he is. Don't even need to say anymore. Don't even need to waste any more time. The first team that doesn't need a quarterback in next year's draft will be taking Jeremiah Smith. I fully believe that. All right, pick 5, Cleveland Browns. They've got some. They need a QB, man. They need a real quarterback for the future. Watson was just named the starter a couple minutes ago before I started recording even, so I feel sorry for Browns fans. I really was hoping it'd be Shadur, that they would give him a shot to prove himself. I don't think Shadur's going to get that chance, so we're going to give him Arch Manning, the next piece of hope, the next symbol of hope for the city of Cleveland and the Browns franchise is Arch Manning. Texas fans are putting all their faith into Arch this season. Browns fans are going to do it again. This kid has a lot to prove. This kid has a lot to showcase this season. A lot riding on his shoulders this season in the SEC at the University of Texas. A lot of people are projecting a Heisman year out of Arch. A lot of people are thinking he's going to light it up. I have my reservations still. I've said a few times I'm a little more like cautious that I'm not overhyping him like I did last year because I was kind of all in last season and unimpressed. So I'm just in prove it phase for Arch. He just needs to show me week 2. Week 2 against LSU. Call me back. Call me after week 2, and we'll see how that game goes. All right, pick 6. So the next 2 picks, I'm taking these 2 edge rushers. But I kind of went back and forth because so before I did it, I had Colin Simons go above him at 6. But then I looked internally and was like, I have these 2 above Simmons in my edge rankings right now, just slightly. So Dylan Stewart, I would have him going slightly above Colin Simons right now. the next edge rusher from Texas. Both are studs. Both are monsters off the edge. Both are going to have tremendous seasons. We'll see which one has the better season. I would say Stewart had the better true freshman campaign, and then Colin Simons got him last year, had the better sophomore campaign. So we'll see who puts up the better junior season, who gets more sack totals. I know D. Stew had some injuries last season, but those are two dominant defensive ends who I'm excited to watch, both in the SEC this year. I can see both of them being top 10 picks, maybe even higher if one really breaks out and has a dominant season as a pass rusher. All right, pick 8. New York Giants are going to they need a receiver here badly. A lot of reports are not sure if Neighbors is going to be fully healthy this season, and they still just need more talent in that receiving group. Cam Coleman, Texas receiver, transferred in from Auburn. This guy's a stud. This guy's 6'4", athletic specimen, can jump out the gym, elite ball skills. I know if you guys just saw that one-handed catch going over social media. Elite catch radius, has all the tools in the world to be a number one receiver at the next level. He just has not had a quarterback throwing to him yet in college football. So has his best quarterback yet, Arch. Allegedly, on paper, he's supposed to be the best quarterback he's had. So we'll see if Arch puts up the season that people expect with Cam Coleman. I think we could easily see 1,000 yards out of him. All right, pick number 9. I wasn't sure where the Falcons need continued help on their defense. I know they got some questions at pass rusher long term with James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker now out with the ACL, but this player is way too talented to still be on the board, so we're going to go Leonard Moore here, star cornerback out of Notre Dame. This kid is the best corner prospect since Sauce Gardner, so I think he'll go higher than 9. I just couldn't let him fall any further of a team that needs defense. Falcons are definitely a quarterback contender next year. I mean, I don't want to simulate the season already and assume the worst for Michael Penix because I was still high on Penix coming out of the draft a few years ago. But depending on what happens there, they could be looking at quarterback in the future. And if Penix doesn't really showcase any ability to win football games or exceed expectations and really live up to that number 8 pick, injury concerns has just kind of hindered him so far. But it does sound like Penix will be back for most of the season, so we'll see if he can show any ability to lead that team back to the playoffs. But if not, I wouldn't be surprised if they got in the quarterback mix for next year's draft. All right, number 10, the Saints need help on the D-line as well. Brian Bresee, I know, is out with it. I think he just had an ACL injury a couple weeks ago in training camp. I know that's this season, not next season, but the Saints still need help on the D-line overall, and that is D-tackle David Stone out of Oklahoma. I think this guy's going to be a top 10 pick. I think he's a top 10 prospect in next year's draft. I know he's an interior defender, but that shows how great he is at his respective job on the D-line, and I think he's firmly a floor raiser for that New Orleans defensive line. A very good floor raiser in David Stone. Another team who needs defensive help in a massive way, Washington Commanders at pick 11. We're going to go A.J. Holmes, D-tackle out of Texas Tech. That was one of the best D-tackles on that team last year, and he's back for another season. This is probably the best D-line, maybe next to Oregon in college football. I would say Oregon has the best D-line. We'll talk about some of their guys in this draft. Texas Tech's right there now with them. I mean, last year they had guys like Romello Height and David Bailey who went second overall. They are bringing back some guys who are just as talented. They might be just as good on the D-line this season. I would put it as the second best D-line in college football. That's why A.J. Holmes, slightly below David Stone, but really filling a gap there for the Washington Commanders who need all the help they can get on defense. I do think it will be better this year. I love the Sonny Styles pick, but A.J. Holmes, another floor raiser for the Washington D-line. All right, pick 12. New York Jets here are going to take – I'm going to give them Carter Smith. Dalton Watson, I'm going to give you guys Carter Smith, your guy out of Indiana, the left tackle for Indiana. The best left tackle in college football. Back for another season at Indiana. Almost came out last year. I believe he was one of the highest PFF graded linemen in the country, offensive tackles in 2025. Almost cost the Hoosiers the net. I don't know if you guys remember. He had a false start when it was 3rd and 1. or like 2nd and 1, backed them up to 2nd and 6, and then they didn't get that first down. They kicked a field goal. And then if Miami would have scored the touchdown, made the PAT, they would have realistically lost that football game. So I think Hoosier fans were so glad that they obviously won that game so that Carter Smith was not like being blamed for anything, because the kid is a tremendous talent, tremendous player, was amazing for them all season long, and just had one slip up at a crucial, inconvenient moment there in the national championship game. But luckily it didn't cost them. He can right that wrong. He can do it again. He can lead them back to the playoffs. I think Indiana will be playing in the Big Ten championship game again in December. And I think Carter Smith's going to be a big reason why, leading one of the best offensive lines in college football. New York Jets, that just kind of helps them in the trenches. I actually love the Omar Cooper Jr. pick last year's draft, so I'm not really giving them a receiver right now because I do think they have enough weapons there. And especially when you're taking especially after taking Dante Moore, you want to protect him and give him time to throw back there in the pocket. So, all right, Pittsburgh Steelers. So this is Steelers are entering an interesting season under Mike McCarthy. First year under Mike McCarthy, new head coach, where Rodgers is back, but he's confirmed that this is going to be his final season in the NFL. So they will need a quarterback for the future. Mason Rudolph is QB2, but the battle for QB3 between Will Howard and Drew Aller is not really going well at all. And I know Steelers fans are pretty uninspired about their performances the other night in the preseason game. So we're going to add a QB into the mix, one who's far more talented, one who's already shown more abilities in college than Aller did. That is another Drew Mestamaker out of Oklahoma State. The tools this kid possesses, I think he's going to have an incredible season for Oklahoma State in the Big 12 this year for head coach Eric Morris. Following him over from North Texas, led the nation in passing yards last year, almost 4,400 passing yards, 34 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 69 completion percentage with averaging 9.9 yards per pass. Incredible numbers, incredible tools. Mestamaker could lead them in, like, they could compete in the Big 12, and if he leads them to like a 9-3 season, I firmly believe he's a first rounder who's going to come out. I could see Mestamaker going back for another year because he's played limited snaps. He's played limited football. He's only been a starter for 1 year of his career in his whole football life, going back to high school, yes, including high school. So I could see Mestamaker going back, but I think he's going to have a tremendous season. I think the numbers he's going to put up against Big 12 defenses are going to be unreal. And I think he's going to have too much momentum to not come out of the draft next year. And when scouts start to watch him throw, when they see the quick trigger, the arm strength he has, the power he puts on his footballs, scouts are going to salivate over Mestamaker. I'm telling you guys right now. And I think he could be the future franchise QB of the Pittsburgh Steelers to really bring them back to prominence. So I like Mestamaker a lot at pick 13 to Steelers. All right, number 14, Minnesota Vikings. So they always need some help in the secondary, and I don't love any of their corners, really. So we're going Ellis Robinson, the 4th from Georgia. This guy was a true freshman stud 2 seasons ago in 2024, was absolutely was nails for Georgia back then. Had a tremendous season last year, and he's projected to be even better this year. Georgia is one of the best secondaries in college football this year with Ellis Robinson and KJ Bolden right there returning. I think the Georgia defense is going to be night and day from a season ago. I've mentioned that a few times, how last year was Kirby's worst defense he's had at Georgia. I think this season is going to be much improved, and the adjustments they make, I don't think it's going to be a no-fly zone in Georgia's defense this year. Good luck throwing against that secondary. That's all I'll say. All right, 15, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I think they've got a couple questions on the O-line, and I know Trevor Gooseby just had an injury, but it sounds like he's going to be okay in a few weeks, so that's not affecting his draft stock for me at all. I think this guy's firmly a top 15 player, top 15 prospect in the class this year, and I think he'll probably go top 15. I like him above the other tackles in this class, which we'll dive into in a few picks from now, but I'll go Trevor Gooseby, OT prospect to the Buccaneers at 15. All right, New York Jets. Wow, third pick already. They really have 3 first-round picks next year. That's crazy. I guess they do because the Colts and Dallas Cowboys pick for Quentin Williams. We got to go on the defensive side of the ball now. So we took Dante Moore. We took Carter Smith, helped on the offense. I got to go Mateo Uiagalelei, edge rusher out of Oregon, one of the best edges in college football. Could be playing in the NFL right now. Probably should be playing in the NFL right now, but wanted to come back and win a national championship for Oregon. Like I just said, Oregon has the best D-line in the country, and there's a reason. And this next pick, I'm also taking Oregon defensive lineman because the second team, the Bears, also needs help massively on the D-line. They've got some injuries. They've got some question marks long-term on how good that front seven could be. That's why we're going Amari Washington back-to-back. Mateo Uiagalelei and Amari Washington, 2 of the best defensive linemen in college football. That I don't know how you're going to be able to run against Oregon this season with those 2 guys leading. They've also got Bear Alexander and Tatum Tuilo. Whatever that guy's, I can't pronounce his last name. I apologize to him, but they're absolute monsters on the D-line for Oregon. Good luck running on that team. That's all I'll say. All right, pick 18, Jacksonville Jaguars. I still think they need some help in the receiving corps, and I know this player, people are down on this player right now after a sophomore slump, but the kid is still 19, as we all know. We talked about his age for years, his true freshman year. Ryan Coleman-Williams, the stud wide receiver from Alabama, I think he's going to have a bounce-back year. I really do. The kid was much better as a freshman. Obviously, you can see 865 yards, 18 yards per catch, 8 touchdowns versus 689, 14, and 4 last season. Really lost confidence a season ago. Had some dealt with some issues at dropping the football. Really experienced some drops. It was just kind of confidence and some mental stuff going on with him. I think if DeBoer can get his confidence back up and he can get some chemistry with Keelan Russell, the new quarterback in Crimson, I think the sky's the limit for Ryan Williams this season. I think he's going to have a much better season than he had sophomore year. It was all his confidence, and I think if he can just get out of the yips, if you will, I think the kid can absolutely go for 1,000 yards this season. The body control he has, the quick twitch, the jitteriness, the juking ability out there. I mean, we saw the elite body control catches he made against Georgia in the one game a few years ago with Jalen Milroe. So he's got it in him. We know this kid is special and he's got it in him. He just has to tap into it more consistently, and he just has to believe in himself. I know that's probably corny to say, but I think I think if you just believe in yourself and trust your talent, trust the player you are, trust your process, I think you'll be just fine, man. I think you'll have a tremendous season. Number 19, Houston Texans. I still don't like this offensive line at all. I still think they need major upgrades on the O-line to help protect C.J. Stroud back there because he was running for his life in the playoffs, and I think that's just kind of led to some struggles. Speaking of confidence issues, led to some confidence issues for C.J. Stroud. Caden Green is one of my top tackles right now. I believe he graded like in the 80s last year, one of the highest pass blocking grades in college football last year, like an 80 PFF grade. So I have him slightly above Jordan Seaton here, who we will take in a minute. Seaton has better tools. Seaton has the higher ceiling, higher potential, and he could end up as a top 10 pick after if he has a really good season at LSU. I still want to see more out of him because he hasn't really shown it yet. Jordan Seaton only had like a 60 PFF grade when Caden Green was in the 80s for PFF grade. So I value the data and the advanced analytics a little more there. I know pass blocking is kind of tough to measure, tough to grade, really. A lot of people only care about how many sacks you give up, and I do think there is more to it than that. But that's why we're going Caden Green slightly above Jordan Seaton here, who I'm going to take in the Bengals, but in between sandwich KJ Duff. Broncos need a receiver, man. They need a true wide receiver, too, in that offense. I hand up, I need to watch more of KJ Duff, but I am hearing some incredible high praise out of his camp. 6'6", 225 receiver has freakish tools in terms of like his size as a 6'6" wide receiver. It doesn't sound like Troy Franklin's taking much of a step in that offense for the Broncos, so we need Bo Nix at wide receiver, too. KJ Duff. like I said, I need to watch more of Duff this season. I plan to at Rutgers. I need to watch more of his tape from last season and really dig into his numbers. But I've heard some incredible high praise for KJ Duff and what he's capable of doing this season. So we'll see how it goes in Rutgers. All right, 21 Bengals here. That's where we're going. Jordan Seaton. This kid is going to be Sam Levitt's bodyguard this season, counting on a big year. Levitt needs a big year out of Seaton to protect him there and give him some time to, make magic happen, which Sam Levitt does if he has time to throw in the pocket. So I want to see more out of Jordan Seaton. He's got the physical traits. He's got the technique. He's got the footwork. He just needs to put it all together over a full season in the SEC. He's going to be going up against way better pass rushers this time around. So he's got to prove it on the bigger stage against better competition. If he does it over the course of a full SEC season, he will probably be higher than this in pick 21. He'll probably be closer to like Carter Smith's range and Trevor Goosby's range, maybe in the top 15. But for now, we're putting Seaton at 21. I will always add a lineman to protect Joe Burrow. You guys know that. I will draft a lineman for days for the Bengals until we find one who actually works, who actually helps, who actually stops the edge rushers and protects Joe successfully. So, speaking of successful edge rushers, though, this next team needs one. That is New England Patriots. I think they need like a true pass rusher who can win on the edge. And that's why I'm going John Henry Daly. This guy's a Michigan, a transfer over from Utah following Kyle Whittingham. Had 11 sacks in 2020, or 10 sacks in 2025 for Utah. I'm expecting a big year out of him at Michigan. I think he's going to be one of the best pass rushers in the Big Ten, if not the best one. So New England needs to get younger on the D-line. They need a true pass rusher. They need a true tone setter on the edge. I think that can be John Henry Daly. I think he'll be a Mike Vrabel guy. I think he'll fit that. I think he'll fit the core. I think he'll fit that locker room well in New England under Drake May's leadership. And, I'm expecting another 10-sack season out of John Henry Daly over at Michigan. All right, Philadelphia Eagles, pick 23. So this player I'm going to draft for them, like I said about the Bengals 2 picks ago, I always love drafting O-linemen for the Eagles. I think they find these guys who fit their billing, fit what they want in an O-lineman, like tools-wise, traits-wise, and they coach them up, they develop them, and they make them work. And they have a system in place that brings these guys in and breeds them right and trains them up, and then they turn into Landon Dickerson or Jordan Mailata or whatever. So we're going Austin Cerebro, offensive lineman for the Ohio State Buckeyes this year. So here's the thing on Cerebro. This kid is talented. This kid is a fantastic pass blocker and run blocker for that matter, but he might be moving inside to guard. So he played 809 snaps at left tackle last season. Was okay, but I think he got exposed in the Indiana and Miami game, as we all saw. They let up 10 sacks in those games. Sane got sacked 5 times in each game. So when we were going up against guys like Bain and Mesidor off the edge and like Indiana, like Kamara, guys like that, it looked a lot different than, say, a Purdue pass rusher or a UCLA pass rusher from a few weeks prior in the regular season. So I do think Cerebro got exposed a little bit, like horizontally on the field and like laterally, and like wasn't able to be quick-footed enough to stop Bain or Mesidor, and really got exposed against Bain. But everyone got exposed against Bain. There was a reason he was the best defensive player in college. There's a reason he was a top 15 draft pick. Like, there's a reason these guys are so damn good at their jobs, and there was a reason they made it to the national championship game last season. So I'm not as worried about Cerebro. I know he just got, let's just say, tossed around against the best pass rusher in college football last season. I think he'll be much better this year. I think the OSU O-line is the best, if not second best, in college football next to Indiana's. So I think Cerebro is going to be a big part of that. And if they do kick him over to interior, I think he might be even better that as he lacks a little bit of speed and quickness on the outside in terms of footwork to stop some of the like more speed rushers and like powerful pass rushers. So, but that's a total Eagles pick, man. They love bringing in talented offensive linemen who they can train up and kind of get in the door and like develop into what they want them to be. And This next team does the same thing. That's the Los Angeles Chargers. They're going to take Cade Piper here, guard out of Iowa. This is a total Jim Harbaugh player as well, a total Jim Harbaugh pick. We know they made improvements to the offensive line. We saw what it looked like in the playoffs last year. Justin Herbert was running for his life. Their two tackles were out. They will be back. That is Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. The interior's improved, but it's still not great. It's still not elite. I think bringing Cade Piper in the door raises your ceiling for the long term of that offensive line and really gives them an elite guard, brings in a talented guard in the door, and gives more protection for Justin Herbert, which should be priority number one for the Chargers, honestly, after what they saw last season. So that's why we're going guard Cade Piper out of Iowa. Iowa always has like a top 5 O-line. It's crazy to me. When I was doing the PFF Team of the Week back in the day, I think Iowa won Offensive Line of the Week like every single week. It felt like throughout the season they would win like 6 of 13 weeks for Offensive Line of the Week because they're just so damn good. That's what they do at that program. That is how they move bodies in the interior. So they want to pound the run and they want to move dudes. So that's the Hawkeye infrastructure. So, all right, pick 25, Dallas Cowboys. So we're adding more defense in the door and specifically linebacker here. Kingston Vialamu Asai out of Notre Dame. This guy's going to have a monster season coming up. I think this guy's going to have a great season for arguably the best defense in college football with Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish. They've got Leonard Moore. They've got Kingston at the linebacking core. They are elite on all 3 levels of defense. So good luck scoring on Notre Dame this season because it's going to be a challenge too. And I firmly believe they will be in the college football playoff this time around. Pick 26, Chiefs add more to their secondary. This player's way too talented to still be there at 26. KJ Bolden falls to them, best safety in college football this year. The Chiefs secondary is young and talented and hungry and ready to compete, man. They brought in Mansour Delane after trading McDuffie to the Rams last season. I love that trade for them, for both teams. And now I think you bring in KJ Bolden, a stud safety, to pair with Mansour Delane, a young corner who can be a real CB1 in this league. I think that gives the Chiefs a high floor in the secondary to really improve that defense. And those guys could be like their next like weapon, like the next Tyrann Mathieu that Pat had a couple years ago, back when the Chiefs were more dominant, I would say. So, all right, pick 27. I wanted to get this wide receiver to 49ers because, one, they need wide receiver depth because none of them can stay healthy, it feels like. And two, Kyle Shanahan will be able to do some creative things with this guy and with this weapon in his receiving core. That is Mario Craver from Texas A&M. I love this player. I think he is one of the best, most dynamic wide receivers in college football. I think can be more of like a gadget player who you can do a couple different things with. Like you can play out wide, you can put him in the slot, you can hand the ball off to him if you want. Kyle Shanahan will be able to find ways to utilize this player because he's so good, he's so talented, he's so fast, and Mario Craver is going to be a first-round pick. I think him and Marcel Reed are going to have a really big season this year. Last year he almost had 1,000 yards, went for 917 yards, 15 yards per pass, 4 touchdowns. I think we're going to see 1,000 receiving yards at least, maybe 15 per again with 10 touchdowns. So I think that chemistry with Marcel Reed is going to develop even better, and I'm really excited to watch A&M this season. I've got him as a playoff team. I've got him as another playoff team making the playoffs again in Mike Elko's, was it his 3rd year there? Might be his 3rd year there. So yeah. All right, moving on. 28, Detroit Lions. I still need them to draft a pass rusher. I still need to pair another edge rusher, like a second edge next to Aiden on the opposite side. And we're gonna make that Damon Wilson the second here. Edge for Miami, who's projected to have a big year. They have not really addressed the second edge position yet, and I know Lions fans kind of get annoyed about that. That's like kind of a thing they have with Brad Holmes, is that he has not drafted a second edge to go alongside next to Aiden Hutchinson. So maybe they do it this year, or maybe the Lions have such a good pass rush that they don't need to this season. But I have my worries, I have my doubts of their pass rush, of how good that unit is. So I want to get another edge rusher in the door for Detroit, and I think that could really help shore up some questions on the D-line for them. Seattle Seahawks have the luxury of just drafting whatever. When you win the Super Bowl, it doesn't really matter. They took a running back first round last year, which I would not have done, but they didn't care. Their secondary is the best in football. Like they almost don't have a weakness. They virtually have no weaknesses on the field, and there's a reason they won the Super Bowl. But we're just going to go highest, best player available here. That is Kelly Jones, star corner out of Mississippi State. I've heard some amazing feedback for this kid, and I know he's kind of alone down there. Like, I don't think Mississippi State's going to have a big season. I'm pretty sure their win total is only 4.5, but I have heard the SEC coaches rave about this kid. They talk about the physical traits he has and the talent he is. 6'4", 195-pound receiver. There you go right there. Opposing quarterbacks completed 29% of passes thrown in Kelly Jones' direction last year. 6'4" with a lengthy wingspan. SEC opponents don't even throw Kelly Jones' way because it's just not worth it. And the rest of the Bulldog team is a little, not as talented, I would say. So, they don't even mess with throwing to Kelly Jones' side of the field because you're wasting your time. You just attack the other side of the Bulldog defense, and you'll have a way better chance to push the ball downfield. Buffalo Bills, pick 30. I wanted to fit this receiver into the first round because I just love this player, and I want to make a point that the Bills still need to add receivers for Josh Allen. They still need to get talent in the receiving core, and that is Wyatt Young, who I think is going to have a fantastic season in Oklahoma State's offense, coming over from North Texas, transferring alongside Drew Messmaker. These two share elite chemistry. This kid was one of the leading receivers a season ago. Look at the stats here. 70 receptions, almost 1,300 receiving yards, 18 yards per, 10 touchdowns. This player reminds me of Cooper Kupp. If you flip on the tape, you will see Cooper Kupp on the field. It's never a bad idea bringing in a young, talented receiver to pair with Josh Allen. It feels like the Bills still have never addressed that position since Allen's been there. And they kind of did it this offseason with DJ Moore. We'll see how that goes. But I still think they could stand to draft a young, true wide receiver one who can grow and develop into a stud in the NFL, because Josh Allen has not had one since Stephon Diggs, really. So, all right, pick 31. This is another player I wanted to fit in just to make a point that this is a first-round talent and that this player is better than Kenyon Sadiq from last season. I know this team really doesn't need a tight end. They just extended Mark Andrews, but I've had some concerns in my words about Mark Andrews, how much he has left in the tank, I guess. So they got rid of Isaiah Likely, signed with the Giants, so they don't have him. Jamari Johnson, I think the Ravens bring him in as their tight end 2, pick 31. This kid is better than Kenyon Sadiq, so much more talented, so physically gifted, very good blocker at the tight end position, and an even better pass catcher at the receiver position, or at the tight end position, than Sadiq was in that offense. If you watch the two tight ends last year, I was more impressed by Johnson than I was Sadiq the entire season for Oregon. But Sadiq still went first round, pick 15. I think the tools that Johnson has are far better than Sadiq was. I know he's not maybe not the same as level blocker that Sadiq was in Oregon, but we'll see if Johnson can show more of that this season for Oregon. They've got some other studs on the outside like Decorey Moore and Evan Stewart. So Dante Moore, that is, will have to spread the wealth and share the ball a little bit. And Jamari Johnson might get stuck blocking a little bit. You might get a lot more blocking reps than you planned. So if that's the case, he's going to have to showcase those abilities. But I wanted to fit him into the first round here more to make a point that this kid has the talent and just keep an eye on him without sharing targets with Kenyon Sadiq. It wouldn't shock me if this kid went for 800 yards this season. He went for 500 yards a season ago, and that was sharing the football, sharing targets with Kenyon Sadiq. Now, lone tight end, I predict 800 yards out of Johnson. I wouldn't be surprised. All right, last pick of the first round here. Cleveland Browns, you are on the clock. It feels like they have edge rushers going down, dropping like flies right now. So I want to get them more talent on the D-line. I want to get them an edge rusher here. And I really wanted to fit this player in the first round because I'm picking this player to win ACC Defensive Player of the Year. That is Cleve Lubin out of the Louisville Cardinals. This guy had 11 sacks a season ago. watch this kid play, man. He is a monster off the edge. He is a beast out there. So much fun to watch. I think Louisville's going to have a really good season, go 11-1 possibly. So if he does, if they do that, I think Clef Lubin's going to be a big reason why I'm predicting 12 sacks out of him. So Cleveland needs more pass rush. They took a quarterback, took Arch Manning at pick 5. So then you got to pair Clef Lubin with him at edge at pick 32. I think that's a pretty good first-round haul, Arch Manning and Clef Lubin for the Browns. Here we go. To recap, we know Sam Levitt goes first overall, returning to the state of Arizona, where he started his career for the, technically he started at Michigan State, but where he started as a starter for the Arizona State Sun Devils a couple of seasons ago, leading them to the playoffs, returns back to the state of Arizona to, lead the franchise back to the promised land, the Cardinals. I'm sure Cardinals fans would be excited about that. So that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know which pick you like, which pick you hate. Tell me which team's draft haul you thought was the best. If there's any quarterbacks you disagree with in the first round here, if there's any players you think should not belong on this draft board, or any players I'm missing. If there's a player that's not on this first round draft mock and you think should be, comment below. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to the Point After with Mitch Kaiser below. Enjoy this mock draft Monday. I will see you back on Wednesday for Hump Day Hoops. Have a great rest of your day, guys.